You're welcome.
You got Sarah coming on, Carol. You got Sarah coming.
Yeah, she's doing okay today, so
Good.
figured get her out of the house.
Excited.
Yeah, rest of the week came here for appointments and all the good stuff, so take advantage of it.
I've driven one before. Yeah, one better than probably touch years ago. Yeah, very fast.
It's 7 o'clock, we'll start the meeting with a salute to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call by the clerk, please.
Trustee Dudash?
Here.
Trustee Pringle is absent. Trustee Ringo?
Here.
Trustee Reno? Trustee Falk? Present. Treasurer Shonka?
Here.
Clerk Davis here. Supervisor Lewandowski.
Here. Next is the approval of the May 4th, 2026 meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Dudash, support by Falk. Is there any discussion regarding the minutes? See none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comments. Anyone wishing to address the board on any items? This is your time to do so, and we ask that you state your name and address, and the meeting's being recorded for future use.
Michelle, do you want to go?
I'll go. Michelle Brown, Ravenswood, Huron Township. I want the board to understand what it's actually like for a resident to come here and sit in front of you and advocate for the things that matter to this township. You tell the public you want us here, but that is a front. I've been attending these meetings for over a year, raising issues that matter to residents. Recordings of meetings, blight, transparency without needing a FOIA, and the more I speak, the less you want to see me. There is a clear pattern in your behavior. You sit in silence when residents speak. You act like you're taking notes, but you're really not. We can see your pen strokes. You ignore emails. You respond to concerns with negative body language, eye rolling, and dismissive gestures. With the exception of one member, this board is not working for us. You're working for yourselves. Month after month, I've filmed these meetings, advocated on the hub, and asked for transparency, and not one issue has been meaningfully addressed. Residents want explanations for the numbers you share. They want proper and fair bidding. They want recordings. They want blight addressed. They want the DDA improved after 40 years. They want full-time availability, not a 4-day work week or a work-from-home arrangement. They want to understand that this township is not broke, that the way you portray it. They want equal attention for the South Side, for 40th Street Pond, and for every neighborhood. They want clean ditches and real advocacy. They want something back for what they give to this township. These are basic expectations of a functioning, transparent local government, yet nothing has changed. Residents want to be informed before decisions are made, not after. They want clear communication. They want to be addressed as a community, not selectively as individuals. They want an open public record of all your actions. If you think for 1 minute that no one is watching the videos and no one is talking, you're wrong. The public has a front row seat now, whether you choose to give it to them or not. And they will remember what they witnessed in this room, who listened, who dismissed, who respected residents, and who spoke cuss words with a glare. Thank you.
Next.
Hi, my name is Grace. I live on Moak. I live in Huron Township. My concern is addressing the committee meetings the last one, the planning meeting I attend. I have some concerns about the knowledge that is prepared for these meetings. I want to know if these are following up with actual statistics database sites, or are these I don't know answers are also acceptable, because when it especially comes with data centers coming in strong in Michigan alone, it did seem the lack of education came from that meeting. And I also want to address the professionalism that occurred there was inappropriate. I do work in a corporate office and I know how to handle people in general. And I do want to address that as you're serving for the public, you should have better customer service voices. I also want to put in concern that I've came to multiple meetings, sat, listened to everybody's concerns. I have some questions. I want to know how we are doing the roads. I've asked multiple times for my road, especially on Moak, to get looked at, especially during the winter times. There's no kids down that road, and school buses go down, and we have put so much gravel down there. I'm curious how much labor and gravel that we have is actually worth than just putting asphalt down there, especially with the way the community keeps coming. We have more people now in the township than before. My other question was, what are the standards that these officials and the committees held interactions with the residents? It's not just online. We need more presence from you guys. Your guys' websites have not been updated. I've looked at the ordinance. The ordinance don't state a date or time on who updated these ordinance. I would like to know why these are not being archived so people can look up past ordinance and bring them to your attention. Because when I looked online, it did not state the date, time, or who signed off on it. Those are some concerns for me, especially when working in corporate. We have to backtrack for everything. So how come we are not held at a standard so everybody knows we're on the same page? Also, when it comes to social media, you guys run a Facebook page. Why aren't we doing, hey guys, just so you know, our next meeting is at 7 p.m. on Monday. Don't forget, every first and third of the month, we have a meeting. Why aren't we doing that? And also, when it comes to summer hours, are we also thinking about the citizens that are work 24/7? Not all of us have a 9-to-5 job. So by having that Friday off, are we extending hours later throughout the day or staggering shifts so that way everybody is equally able to come access the township hall? Are we ever considering about the midnight workers at the factories? Are we also looking into all the dump sites that are around my house in general? Because there is multiple dump sites. I have came here on multiple times to talk to you directly, Bob, and I've talked to you on the phone, and I've emailed you about these sites. And it seems like the last 8 years in general, it has gotten worse, especially the one on Nerd, I think in Cleveland. Back in the back lot, it's empty, right by Hoover Park. Also want to address Hoover Park. It's back in the 90s. When are we coming back and giving the kids exactly what they need to go for the parks? They haven't been updated. I remember sliding on that slide when I was in elementary school, and I'm 29 years old. So I would love to see changes, and I would love to see the stats and where the budget is and why we are not upgrading the South End and making it like Bakersfield. Because Bakersfield is amazing. Why aren't we treating the South End the same way? Thank you.
Next. Yes, sir.
Stephen Hockley, 3023 Lindsay Lane. I've only been a resident for 2 years, almost. So, but to echo this lady's point, I have noticed the south end of the township does seem to, there's a bifurcation or a dichotomy between the two ends. What I wanted to mention though, and I'm glad the engineer's here, referring to the 04 April storm, I wanted to get comment on stormwater management. I've talked to 2 local residents, and it's hearsay, but apparently buildings, improvements on adjacent lots have caused flooding or excessive water on their lots, especially again on that 04 April. I know there's not much elevation to work with, but again, I was just kind of wondering what the township, if there's a master plan dealing with stormwater management, especially if we get more of these 100-year storm events on a yearly annual basis. And again, I just wanted to invite the township to comment on this.
Next.
I've got a few concerns. The concerns I'm raising tonight are not intended to create conflict. They're being raised because residents deserve transparency, accountability, professionalism, and responsible stewardship of taxpayer resources. Local government functions best when residents are informed, heard, and treated with respect, and that is what many people in this community are asking for. First thing I have is meeting accessibility and audio. Bob, I've repeatedly requested that the podium and microphones currently sitting unused in the museum be brought to this meeting so that both residents in attendance and those watching from home can clearly hear what's being discussed. Once again, I respectfully ask that these items be put into use moving forward. I would also ask that all board members speak up clearly and loudly enough for the public to hear. Even sitting back here, some of the stuff we cannot hear, so at home it's even harder to understand, and they deserve the same decency that we get. You will likely notice that these meetings are now being live streamed on 2 separate platforms, Facebook and TikTok. The Community Hub Facebook page has grown to almost 950 members, while the TikTok channel being used has surpassed 14,000 followers. So you're being watched from even over in Australia right now. If the board continues to refuse to officially record and publish meetings itself, residents will continue finding alternative ways to ensure our own transparency. Public is paying attention, and concerns regarding openness and accountability will continue to gain broader visibility. For you to take control of this is not expensive, and it's a needed responsibility. I also want to talk about lot number 74-28-155-0010-000. I'd once again like to address this lot. During the Township Board Zoom meeting number 9720312 on December 21st, 2020, a motion was made by Mr. Dudas and seconded by former trustee Reel to allow this property to be purchased for only $500 for the stated purpose of building a home. I drove by it today, over 5 years later, and it's in such poor condition. There's nothing being built, and I want to know why this board does not follow through on giving land away basically for pennies on the dollar, and there's nothing there. If you look, it's right by Hoover Park, and I'll tell you what, if I had a child, I would not take my child to Hoover Park because that area is horribly in blight. So please follow up on that. I'd also like to clarify regarding how many township employees are still working remotely. COVID-related restrictions ended quite some time ago, and recently residents were told there were not enough employees available to rotate staffing in order to keep the office open during summer hours. If staffing is truly an issue, then continuing remote work arrangements should be reevaluated. Additionally, if the office remains closed on Fridays, then operating hours during the rest of the week should be largely expanded to better accommodate taxpayers and residents. I was unaware Mr. Casey would be attending tonight. Hi, Dan. Because the agenda was not posted until this morning. Since he's present, I would like to ask why the EDA newsletter cannot be posted on the township website. Taxpayer dollars are used to pay membership dues, yet there appears to have been little to no public discussion or vote regarding continued membership payments. Situations like this contribute to the growing public concern over transparency, especially regarding how our taxpayer funds are being spent and whether these memberships are truly benefiting our community. Lastly, for those who did not watch the recent Planning Commission meeting, I encourage you to do so and thank Michelle for recording it. The meeting raised serious concerns regarding the apparent lack of thorough research into the potential impacts data centers could have on our area. Residents have repeatedly been told there is not enough acreage available for such projects, yet recent discussions suggest otherwise. The number of behind-the-scenes developments occurring without meaningful public engagement or announcement at this meeting is alarming. Mr. Dudas appropriately raised concerns regarding traffic and pedestrian safety near the Dollar General at Michigan and Lapeer, specifically the need for a crosswalk. That is exactly the type of planning and community discussion that should be happening more often before projects move forward. Unfortunately, you're now looking at a cost to the township if this huge safety concern is put into place rather than on the developer. Also, unfortunately, residents continue encountering dismissive attitudes when asking legitimate questions. During last week's meeting, one individual publicly mocked a citizen with a hearing impairment while attempting to correct misinformation. That behavior was unacceptable and beneath the standards expected of public boards and commissions. We also witnessed board and committee members making disrespectful comments toward residents at other meetings, including the Recreation, the Parks Boards, and on the Parks Board, one park attendee who voluntarily used a personal trailer to help remove garbage bags from a park. And that was in an effort to avoid odor and sanitation issues such as maggots from the trash bags being put into township vehicles, was criticized rather than appreciated. So if personal vehicles and equipment are deemed inappropriate for a township-related task, then consistent standards should apply to everyone. Township-owned vehicles should be utilized for township business whenever possible, including meetings, deposits of bank funds no matter the closeness of the bank facility, and official travel. Residents should expect fairness, consistency, professionalism, and responsible use of taxpayer resources. I also find it concerning that township ordinances have not been reviewed or updated in years. Planning and zoning meetings should never be canceled simply because there are few or no agenda items. Time should instead be used productively to review and modernize ordinances on an ongoing basis. At minimum, several ordinances should be reviewed at each meeting so that all township ordinances are evaluated regularly and updated when necessary. Failing to do so leaves the township vulnerable to avoidable patterns such as what we're running into now. Most importantly, township leadership should not sit silently while disrespectful conduct occurs during public meetings. The public deserves better professionalism, stronger ethics, and more respectful treatment from those serving the community. Thank you.
Next, anyone else?
Hey, I'm Sarah. I live on Randolph. I have just an issue about us with the videos and stuff. I have a vocal cord paralyzation plus a diaphragm. It's hard for me to actually get here. I'm actually on oxygen more times than I'm not. I'm actually having a good day. Also, for me to project, it's hard for me to talk to you. I don't come to the meetings a lot. I sit behind the scenes because I can't really make it most of the time. I just don't understand the fact that we can have cameras for cell phones and not just have something that you guys can have here and not have to worry about anybody not being here. Also, I know it's 2026, the AI and all that good stuff, but wouldn't you rather have it in your situation than have cameras from other people that can audit it? I just don't understand that whole situation. That's pretty much what I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you for all your comments. I just want to make one comment about the data center thing and the planning commission, you feel didn't have enough information regarding data centers. All they were discussing last week was a moratorium to give them a year to figure out what they need to put into an ordinance.
No, she gave out misinformation.
Well,
I can disagree. It's okay.
that's all right. But I'm just saying, what we were looking for was just to.
When you bring, I'm sorry to cut you off. When you bring up my Bitcoin mining with data centers, and you're sitting there as a person who represents the township, who says I went to Michigan State University for a course, and the University of Michigan for a course, and she sits here and she is telling you these information. She's listening to you. You guys are listening to her. You're needed to do your own research. And then to have a community person up here who said no to it was wild.
Okay, we're not going to debate anything here. I'm
not debating. I'm just saying.
I'm just making a statement that Bitcoin mining, that's a data center.
Yeah, that's what she said it wasn't. So that's what I was showing her.
So I'm just saying, we want to put a stop to anything coming in our township at this moment so that we can get all the information and put an ordinance together.
And I've also offered my time of 100 hours or more into that, and I've stated that to her. and it did not seem like no one wanted to hear what I had to say. They
Okay.
came out as combative.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. New agenda items. Attorney.
We have one right here.
Oh, over here we got one.
I'd like to follow up with what she said about the cameras and the transparency not being here because I have a problem breathing over here, as you all know, with the voice and everything with asthma. So I'd like to see that, you guys upgrade to being able to be more public outside of the building. And another thing, you need to do something about these people flying up and down these streets. Until somebody dies in a traffic accident, I don't think nobody's gonna care. We got a lot of kids on these streets. It needs, I'm up 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're just flying up and down my road, and whether there's a kid up there or not, it's still dangerous. So we need to have something looked into that, get the word out, your little newsletter, you're not doing nothing to put that information on there. Make a separate newsletter, whatever, get it 25 miles an hour. Not 80, 90.
Okay. We got some information coming up later in the meeting that I thought was quite interesting of what the sheriff's department's doing now, but that'll be here in a little bit. So, anyone else? Moving on, the attorney's report.
Good evening. You have in front of you my report for activity in the month of April. It was a relatively quiet month. I addressed the items that we're currently working on and still working on. If you answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Bob? I don't. Thank you. Engineer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just got a few updates on some current projects, and I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have. Griswold Force Main project, we're pushing hard to get that in for permits. I understand that force main broke again recently. So understand the importance of locking that out and get that in for permits. So we'll be doing that in the next couple of weeks. Maywood Pump Station will actually be going off for permits this week. And we've been trying to resolve an issue with the EPA on their website, login stuff. We gotta get all of the information to them so they can review it. Working with Clerk Benita to get that cleared up. And it sounded like as of actually early, just today, I think we got that resolved. So we should be able to get a path forward on that and get those plans out for bid. So Howard Street sidewalk, I had an inspector meet the contractor who still owes us the final restoration on that project area. We had to meet with him again because the gentleman we met with from their company last fall no longer works with them, so we wanted to make sure we're all on the same page as far as what the expectations are. I don't have the exact dollar value, but I think we're still holding $30-some thousand on the restoration effort, so pretty confident we'll get it resolved, just taking a little longer than we anticipated. So they won't have to restore the area north of Griswold on 24th Street because that's being redeveloped as a 7 brew. That project's currently under construction, and we've been working with those guys to make sure they're doing what they need to. So I think that's what I got right now. I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
You want to have any questions for Mike? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sheriff's report.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sergeant Kreiner. I'm at the Sheriff's Office tonight. One thing I wanted to talk about this evening was some citizen complaints that we've received regarding traffic on Beach Road. Man, was that the road that you were just mentioning? I had to step out for a second.
I'm at Robbins Court.
Robbins Court? Okay.
It's every road.
It's every, yes.
Well, with regards to Beach Road specifically, some measures that we took to address the problem over there, we informed all of our township cars to try to spend some more time in that area to monitor traffic.
Day or night?
What's that?
Day or night?
Both, yep. We also directed our secondary road officer to spend some time in that area as well. For those that aren't aware, the secondary road position is a grant-funded position. His job is traffic enforcement on all secondary roads outside of M roads and expressways. And another thing we did is we deployed one of our radar speed trailers in that area. It was there from April 25th to May 11th in order to gather some data on the traffic in that area. So a lot of the traffic wasn't in compliant range within the speed limit.
At what time?
Excuse me.
Sorry, I gotta ask.
Yeah, I'll give you a copy of this report. You can review it as well, but it covers the entire day.
Okay.
So,
And then,
for instance, northbound traffic from May 1st to May 11th, we had 12,386 cars pass through that area. 11,088 of them were compliant within the speed limit. 1,196 were considered low risk. That's 1 to 9 miles per hour over the speed limit. 73 of them were considered medium risk, and 29 of them were considered high risk. And the high risk ones, there's really no specific time. It seems to be kind of in your morning hours when people are going to work, and then in the afternoon coming back home. So this is something we're talking with the township deputies about, try to, if they're available at those times, to make themselves present in that area to monitor traffic and take enforcement action when needed. Does anybody have any questions about anything with that comes back? Yes, sir.
so the speeding that you found, could these be habitual offenders that are just really don't care and they're speeding on? Because that's kind of the way I see it over there.
It's
And it
hard to
doesn't
say.
matter what time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's hard to say. We'd have to just be present in those areas and try to stop those cars when it's happening, and then we can, take the appropriate enforcement action from there.
So we're attending some child's funeral, but nobody's really care.
Yes. So this is a work in progress for us. And before I leave tonight, I'll talk to you about your situation as well. Is there anybody else that wants to?
Is there enough data to know like the north, southbound traffic?
We did
or
both.
east, westbound?
We did both. So we had the trailer facing northbound for a period of time. We had it facing southbound for a period of time. The data's pretty consistent both ways. It didn't seem like one direction was more of an issue than the other.
So I live right by the St. Clair County Sheriff Department.
Okay.
My road, Moken, Michigan, that road is horrible. And there's more kids now than there have been in years. Are you guys checking out those two locations too, and to Dove? Because recently there was an accident on Dove where a pedestrian got hit. So are you guys watching those streets too as well?
Certainly, yeah. Obviously, with our office being there, that's a common area that we throughout the day.
I mean, yeah, you guys just had a police chase that happened literally just on Wednesday. I was outside watching.
Yeah.
So
That was a vehicle that was stolen from body construction.
yeah. So my question was, is if you guys are actually monitoring that area more now since they have had that happen since?
We certainly try to.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yep. Anybody else have any traffic related concerns they want to talk about tonight, or?
Unfortunately, you can't be everywhere at once.
No,
That's
it's part of the
exactly
job.
thing.
So
You know,
that's
we
why
have
I'm
limited
saying-
resources to work with, but we try to do our best to, when a problem's brought to our attention, we try to put whatever available resources.
Get it out there on media, the newsletter. Big bold red letters when you put it out. Make the font bigger, brighter, more explicit. Obey the speed limit laws.
Yes, sir.
Nationally, do the speed monitoring, I guess cameras, what do you call your trailers?
Yeah, so it's not a camera. It's just a portable trailer with a radar station on it. So it alerts the drivers to their speed through the screen on there. But it also compiles data and records it for us to generate.
Nationally, do they seem to reduce speeds at least temporarily?
I certainly think so. Yeah,
That's
I don't
why
have
you're
any
not getting
specific data,
speeders.
but just my anecdotal experience with that. And I think everybody probably feels the same way. When one of those trailers is present, just seeing that, especially if you are speeding and the sign's going to flash the lights and indicate to you, that alone tends to correct the behavior quite a bit. Or also just the presence of a patrol car there during some of those busier times. Anybody have any other questions related to any traffic
Does this
concerns?
board have any questions for the deputy?
When I was going through the numbers, traffic stop was up quite a bit this month. 216 versus 77 from last month.
Yes, Dave.
And that's any reason why? Was there a special operation or?
Yeah, so part of that is probably related to the OHSP is directing some funds for special traffic enforcement. I know we've had a lot of those shifts going on recently. I would imagine that it's probably related to that. I can't recall off the top of my head where the specific areas we were trying to direct those shifts. They're all overtime shifts. But I'm certain that some of those probably took place in Huron Township.
Thank you.
And as you all have the statistics for our calls for service, I'm happy to answer any questions related to those.
Questions, any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
EDA report from Dan Casey.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board. The last time I was in front of you, I talked a little bit about some site readiness activities that we were doing at a property on 12th Street and 32nd Street in Pettit. Piece of property that's zoned heavy industrial. We spent about $35,000 doing studies on that property for a developer who is proposing to do a development there. The company is Interstate Capital. They've got about 3 different sites in the county that they're purchasing or have purchased to do projects. This is one of them. They are proposing to build a spec building there starting this year, about 250,000 square feet on that site. They have a second building also planned in the future. So we've been working with them for probably a year to prep the site, get it ready for development. Now they have a project that they're looking to hopefully begin construction on soon. They intend to apply for a tax abatement. We've been working with the township and with the company on the tax abatement application it's called for a speculative building. It's a little different from your typical industrial tax abatement. So I've done them before in my career, and so I've been helping them make sure that they provide the proper paperwork to the township. I'm working with the township also to make sure that it gets processed correctly and submitted to the state, but of course it'll be your decision. They've completed the application, and I'm waiting for them to submit the fee. There's a $500 fee. So that's kind of where we're at with that. We recently submitted that site for 5 different projects. 2 of those projects were submitted on Friday last week. And I have another one that I'm working on today that is for a 400,000 square foot building. And so some of these projects, we don't know exactly what they are because they don't usually tell us. We just know that they're industrial in nature. One of the ones they submitted last week was for an aluminum factory. I don't know what that means. I don't think they're making aluminum. I think it's more about bending and shaping aluminum for customers. But we'll find out if they like the site. So anyway, another one of them is a lithium-ion battery recycling facility where they take batteries apart, they take the pieces of the batteries that they can reuse, and they prep them and ship them. And then they recycle the rest of the battery that they don't need. So there's been 2 or 3 of these kind of projects that have been looking at the state of Michigan for the last year for location. They're also looking in the Midwest. I think there's 5 states under consideration for that project. So anyway, that's another one that's out there that we're working on. Moving forward, I want to touch on the Love site real quick. A real estate broker contacted me about a possible project there. It's her project, not ours, but we're assisting. So it looks like it's a distribution project primarily, warehouse distribution. I don't know who it is, but we're continuing to work with the broker. And once she can tell me more, she will. And I'll let you know at that time. The Kmart site, last time I was here, I said there was a project we were working on at the Kmart site. That project is on hold at the moment. We're continuing to work with the company. It's a company that you would all know. They've got a facility in the county and they've got a facility in Sanilac County as well. It's a food processing kind of project. But it's on hold at the moment. The company's been having some problems with their facility in Sanilac County that's taking up a lot of their time. But once they get that resolved, we expect that they'll be back. This is an expansion project for them, not a relocation. So there's that. Small businesses. Last time I talked a little bit about the work that EDA is doing with small businesses. We have what's called the Eastern Michigan Small Business Network that we formed, and we received a large grant from the state to develop this program over a 3-year period. And right now we're 2.5 years into that, and it ends at the end of this year. This program is covering 6 counties in Region 6, and we're the fiduciary on the grant. So far there are 32 companies from Port Huron Township, small businesses and startups that have been assisted through the program. Some of them have received grants through us, and some of them are in a fast track cohort program that we developed 2.5 years ago. The other thing is, I mentioned that grant program ends this year. The state of Michigan, through the legislature, appropriated $11.3 million to continue this hub program across the state. They don't have as much money to work with as they did with the first grant. So what the states decided to do is they're going to support 1 hub per region in Michigan. And we're applying on behalf of all the 7 counties in our region. So basically our program will continue going forward for another year. We're almost 100% confident we're going to get the grant because there's no other applicants for Region 6 except us. We're working with all the partners, everybody. So you will see that program very likely continuing, which is good news for your businesses because it includes grants. It includes a service provider network that companies can tap into to get services, things like filing a patent, getting a website created, a bunch of different things. So that's good news. And lastly, I was just going to mention, we also wrote a letter of support for the township on a water main project. This is a congressional appropriation. Mr. Lewandowski requested that we do that. This is something we do for all of our communities in the county. If they're going to apply for appropriation, we will not only write a letter, but if they request it, we will ask other partners to write letters on their behalf as well. So we did that. I do want to touch on data centers because someone brought it up earlier. I can tell you that currently there are no active data center projects in St. Clair County. There were a couple last year, but they didn't happen, and they're not coming forward. So there are no data center projects that we're involved with currently. Now that doesn't mean that the phone's not ringing and that we're not getting requests. Within the last month, there were 2 companies that called. One of them is a consultant that tries to get sites together and then they market them to data center operators. And then the other one is an operator. It's a large operator. They do not have a site in St. Clair County. They're looking, but they're also looking in other counties and in other states. And this is happening all over Michigan right now. There is a limited amount of power to support these data center projects. I know there's a lot of talk and there's some concern by communities. The reality is, at least in DTE's territory, there is only the likelihood of 5 to 6 projects being approved in the entire area that they serve. So, and that's just because of lack of power. There are a couple of big projects one that's been approved, another one that's going forward, that are going to be using a lot of their available capacity. So right now they're looking at future capacity. And what that means is even if a project does land, they do not have enough power today. I don't want to speak for them, but they don't have enough power today to service them until future years. right? Just because of the commitments they've already made to the project in Saline Township, for example. So I understand the concern people have with data centers and the moratoriums and all of those things that are going in place. And it makes sense for you to look at your ordinances and your master plan and make sure that you've made an accommodation for data centers one way or the other. You can't do restrictive zoning, but what you can do is say whether you support them and don't support them and what type you might consider, small scale, whatever it is. That's totally up to the community to figure out. So we support that. We're a resource to you. We do have an ordinance in hand from Tioga County in Pennsylvania. They approved a data center ordinance that's specific to their zoning requirements. I'm happy to share it with you if you have any interest in looking at it. It basically addresses noise volumes, it addresses building heights, setbacks, all the typical things that you're gonna have to look at for your zoning ordinance. So that's pretty much that. We're not supportive, we're also not supportive of data centers. That's not our job. Our job is just to work the projects, bring them to communities that are interested, and if you're not, we try to look out for you. So we had, for example, a data center developer contact us with 2 sites that they had already researched in the county. This was probably 2 months ago. One of those sites was in Wales Township, and it was 1,000 acres. They had some of the farmers, they'd already had conversations with them. When they approached us, they wanted to know, do we have any insight on that property and also on the community's interest or lack of interest in data centers? And because of that information sharing with that township, the answer I gave them was, this is not a good location for you to consider. And so they moved off of it, they moved on. Why? Number one, Wales Township doesn't want it. And the big reason is the closest water line was 8 miles away. So that becomes tremendously prohibitive. And that's the kind of insight that they're probably not going to have as they're looking at sites. They're basically just looking to see where are the 345 kV towers, because that's what they need. So in our county, that's easy to track, right? So they look and see where the towers are, where there are big blocks of land that potentially they could acquire to do a project, and then they have conversations with farmers to see if they're interested in selling. That's the typical process. And then they'll come to the Economic Development Agency and ask all these questions. And our answer is, there's no infrastructure there to support it, other than the power lines. So that's pretty much what I was going to say about data centers. You guys have any questions for me?
Mark, any questions?
Yeah. The biggest thing, with the public is, there's a ton of stories in the news. And a lot of the stuff gets done in the dark. NDAs are signed. And it seems like the public, we're the last to find out, and it's almost too late to stop it. So, hopefully, it sounds really good what you're saying, and hopefully, it's true what you're saying, because obviously we don't want the data centers. I know that we may not always be able to stop them if it's in a proper heavy industrial area, but it's just the data centers, they're just very controversial, and it's just going on all over the nation. They banned them in China. So the ban, as far as all over the nation, the public's speaking out in huge droves. So I hope, you truly are looking out for us. Give us a heads up.
Yeah, well, that is our job, and that's what we're trying to do. So we have honest conversations with data centers. You mentioned NDAs.
Mm-hmm.
We did sign an NDA at one of the very first project that came to us that was required by the company. We wouldn't even know who they were if we didn't sign it, so we did. That was in Greenwood Township. But since then, we've been telling everybody that we're not going to sign an NDA on the data center project. you need to be public and you need to start the public process right from the beginning. And a lot of them don't want to do that because their concerns are they have proprietary technology that they don't want their competitors to know about. And what they're worried about is that they talk about things like how they're planning to cool the data center, that information would get out to a competitor, or the fact that they're even looking at a site. In Greenwood Township, for example, there was a developer and then there was a data center operator competing for the same land. They were both submitting offers to landowners at the same time. Because of that, and because they became aware of each other, it drove the price way up, 6 figures per acre. So that's why they want confidentiality. We don't have to like it. That's their request, but communities don't have to honor it. So keep that in mind.
So then, I had a couple questions when I heard your comment today. I had my sheet, let me see.
Oh, there was something about the newsletter too, the EDA newsletter. That's not confidential. I mean, if the township wants to put it on your website, you certainly can. That's up to you.
I think I forgot my papers. So, there was, let me see, was it a Beacon and Winston? Project Beacon and Winston? Can you tell us about what those are? Or is that the two things that you were just talking about, the other developers?
Winston is the lithium-ion battery project.
Okay.
And Beacon is a really large project. It's a $1.7 billion proposed investment. And we don't, when these get submitted to us, we only get the information that the state gets. So we don't normally know who the company is. We don't necessarily know what the facility is. We don't know building heights. We don't know it. Usually they don't share that kind of information. At this point, they're just looking for sites. They're trying to find sites that meet certain criteria. And so there's typically a spreadsheet that they submit to us that we have to answer questions, whatever their questions are. I've been thinking recently that we might do some an educational program for our communities in the county on these RFIs, they're called, that we receive, so that communities have a better understanding of the process and how it works and the kind of information that's being requested of us, right? So I think the more you understand that, you'll get it and you'll say, okay, now we understand part of what EDA's role is in these projects, right? So anyway, the point is we fill out a spreadsheet. There's a proprietary database that is owned and operated by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So we have to upload the sites and all the reports and anything, site due diligence, anything we have on those sites we have to upload to this database. And then they put all the sites together that have been submitted from Michigan communities. They package them up and send them off to whoever, whether it's company or consultant. Is that it?
You want to
Can I ask?
You can ask a question.
Thank you. I keep forgetting protocol. First of all, to keep in mind that we're never going to be interested in this. Second of all is, can eminent domain ever come into play if they really want to first bringing in a data center?
No. The only way that eminent domain comes into play, we'll defer to the engineer and the lawyer in the room, but the projects I've worked on in my career is things like public right-of-way or public utilities that go right-of-way. Communities have the ability to use eminent domain to get access to those properties so they can do what they have to do. They still end up having to buy them. At the end of the day, they buy the land that's needed. But yeah, they can take properties. The railroads can take properties. They have a different process.
On a federal level, not local or whatever, but it's got to be federal.
Right. Yeah, but as far as using eminent domain to do, say, an economic development project, a development, years ago, that was an option many years ago. That was an option in Michigan.
Right.
But it eventually was litigated, and
Yeah, I thought we voted on
they
it.
said that economic development was not a public purpose for utilizing that.
Okay, I have.
Yeah,
no road
remember
report.
that from the Pole Town litigation years ago. when-
Oh, yeah, yeah,
All right, so
yeah.
for the eminent domain to proceed, the governmental player has to get involved and pursue that, or a utility with that sort of power, like a railroad or something.
Yeah.
There's different channels.
Good example.
I can't imagine that would happen.
Well, they're
St.
doing it in
County.
Georgia. But they're taking over people's, homes that have been there for generations.
We'll be reading about that in the Supreme Court report probably in 5 years.
But I just have a quick follow-up that, you're talking about this, business that's coming in and they're building it. Is there anything in the industrial park that's empty at this point that you know of that they couldn't put that business in one of those empty buildings if in fact it was something empty?
We have very little available inventory in industrial in the county. Very little.
So we have to build, but it doesn't seem like these businesses stay very long. It's like they get their tax break or whatever, and then they move out. The place is empty.
I think that is a little bit more of a myth than the reality, to be honest with you.
Well, it
Companies,
seems that way. Maybe
Yeah.
not the tax.
yeah. So if it's a developer-owned site, so in other words, the developer is going to build this building and they're going to lease it to a tenant. They want as long of a lease as they can get. So the very minimum I've seen lately is at least 10 years. They won't even do a deal if it's not at least 10 years long. Because they just won't make any real money.
Yeah,
if it's
because
shorter
the
than
Love's building over there is a prime example of building and then they left and it's empty.
Yeah, but that building was used for a long time, right? So, I mean, now it's been available for a long time, and part of the reason for that is it's a big box store. It was built as a big box store, and look what's happened to the big box industry, right? Retail is pretty
So much
dead,
of a
right?
projection, huh?
Yeah, there's not much out there, so the options are for the building to be converted for some other kind of use, right? And one of the problems, we've had some interest in converting the Kmart and the Love's building into distribution facilities. They don't have the overhead doors that are needed to make that happen, so they spent a lot of money putting those doors in to those kind of buildings, so they would rather either just build it new or find an existing distribution center that's for sale.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Item E, approve more memorandum of understanding between the Port Huron Township and the City of Port Huron regarding the city recreation program. Basically, this is the same as what we've been doing in the past, except that there is no cap on how much the township pays when it comes to the difference between the city rate and the non-city rate. I think it's still a great program. It gives our residents opportunities for some recreation that we couldn't put on for that kind of money. So I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Davis, is there support? I'll support. Support by Reno, is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Davis, yes. Reno,
Yes.
Falk,
Yes.
Dudias,
Yes.
Shonka,
Yes.
Lewandowski.
Yes. Item F, approve St. Clair County Road Commission work orders as presented. You got one for hot rubber through Black Forest, and then one for a culvert replacement on 32nd Street. That's the one at the railroad tracks. I have to keep filling in with coal patch because it's collapsing. The one in the DDA district is in the DDA district, so I would have them pay for that and I would take it to their next meeting and ask them to also pay for that. So, but I would like to get this board's approval for both.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Reno, second by Dudash. Is there any discussion? See none. Roll call, please.
Reno,
Yes.
Dudash,
Yes.
Falk,
Yes.
Shonka,
Yes.
Davis, yes, Lewandowski.
Yes.
On 32nd Street, is that a collar break-in on that one? Manhole cover, where you get a big bounce
It could just be
sinking?
sinking a little bit. We fixed it quite a few years back, and the problem is where those lids are. They're right in the lane trap.
Yeah.
Tires are, so. All right, next is approved lot split for parcel 74-28-825-0045-000, requested by Jim Raditz, and that's over here. John, anything?
That came to the last planning commission meeting, and it meets all the requirements, and the planning commission did approve. I'll make a motion that we approve the lot split for the parcel presented.
We have a motion by Reno to approve the lot split. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Falk. Is there any discussion? See none, roll call please.
Reno,
Yes.
Falk,
Yes.
Dudash,
Yes.
Shonka,
Yes.
Davis, yes, Lewandowski.
Yes. Okay. Also, before you have the Township Rec Board recommends the following increase in summer recreation cost. Registration, $90. And then if it's the all-inclusive for all the field trips and everything else, $170.
I'll make a motion we approve as presented. I'll support.
Motion by Shonka, support by Reno. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of bills.
Make a motion we approve the prepaid bills in the amount of $2,047.97.
Motion by Shonka, is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Falk. Is there any discussion regarding the prepaids? Seeing none, roll call by the clerk, please.
Shonka,
Yes.
Falk,
Yes.
Reno,
Yes.
Dudash,
Yes.
Davis, yes, Lewandowski.
Yes.
Motion.
Make a motion we approve the current bills in the amount of $965,036.36. I'll support it.
It's this much.
Correction, $973,295.68.
A motion by Shonka, is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Reno. Is there any discussion regarding the current bills? See none, roll call by the clerk.
Shonka,
Yes.
Reno,
Yes.
Falk,
Yes.
Dudash,
Yes.
Davis, yes, Lewandowski.
Yes. Board correspondence. Anyone? Report.
I got some pictures from Ralph
Wilson Parkway, and you wanna see them. That's the pond in the middle. They have the hospitals down there all donate to it, plus the well folk. They have a ton of money. They got the awesome slides. They're a great big huge bear in this one. These things just stand up to about 50 feet. Doggone. This picture here is a new water park they did. Instead of having a mat, they have actually beach sand underneath. They don't know how that's going to work out, but it's a huge. It's got to be over almost 2 acres. So water park. It's right on the river. There's more pictures. And they got a great big huge pond. And I also took a picture looking down from Simcon down on the plaza. You look out and see, and they got a place now for food trucks to line up for the afternoon. So in the park, they got a designated place in the Marcus. And picture that. And then, a little bit about data centers. As you know, I was invited to take a look at the data centers over in Southfield. Those are different ones than the big, huge ones that I'm used to where they're water cooled. These are all air cooled, they're quieter. They're inside the old building that'd be a little bit bigger than the fog cutter. And it's 8 stories tall, I believe it was. They're currently got in the bottom, and all these are hallways, and everybody owns their own units. There could be like 20, 30 companies in there using that data center. Very quiet on the outside because you have insulated glass blocking off, plus they keep all the hallways with the units back away from there so they don't hear them, and they're air cooled instead of water cooled. Reason being, you can't water cool in there because you'd have a leak on the 4th floor, it'd leak all the way to the basement, you're wiping all electronics all the way down. So it's all air cooled, and when you're in the office area, you cannot tell. Once you get back to the computers, you do feel it's warm. These are talking a few megawatts of electricity. The biggest noise they have on that is when they start up just like the Generac generators, but they're big, half the size of this room. When they start them up on their monthly service, that's when they get noisy. Or if they lose power, then they automatically start up. That's basically the noise. When I was in the building, the only noise I heard of fans was the cooler on the top, because just like any of the old office buildings, their chillers are up on top, the air conditioning system, and that makes a fan noise. Other than that, we toured one building. They have 4 on this side of the state. They've got a bunch over in Grand Rapids. But this one company is 123 Net. I'm sure everybody's seen their van. It's all over the county because they're running the fiber optics up and down the roads. It went up and down Griswold some time back. They either hang them or put them under the ground. So we toured that. We talked about electric vehicles and their battery fires. I showed Bob and the chief. It's called a turtle, and it's able to pump. They're worried about the bridge because the bridge is now a #1 truck crossing. And if you got an electric vehicle going across and it has a battery fire, you got a big oops. You can't turn the car over because the EPA is going to nail you on pollution. And how are you going to get the fire truck up there? Because it's going to have to come, if it's eastbound, it comes from the Canadian side, but westbound's gotta come from our side. So they talked about that. They are building retention ponds and tanks to supply. They gotta have 500 gallons a minute in water. They can't use foam, because foam is a big pollution, a lot of PFAS and that. So that was the big thing on that. Then they're looking at, we had a coordination about with Miss Dig. When we come into quoting for tap and all those, they kind of want us to look out if natural gas is going to be doing any repair, if Detroit Edison's going to be, it's all got to be in the packet that we have reviewed future of these industries, utilities. I think it's the utilities wanting us to do their mistakes, but it's all got to be in the pack. So they got a program on that coming out. And also that day we talked about parks. And I told Bob I've got a list of them. It's going to be 2 to 3 weeks, but it'll tell how many people have gone to Bakersfield, have gone to Memorial Field over the whole course of the year. Hoover, the ballpark, Bakersfield, the Lions Club, which was totally I would never guess it was that small. I've got some initial numbers back already, but you'd be really surprised how many people do use the park and how many people don't use the park. And when the park gets used, it has all the information, captures everything. And we should have that information back in about 3 weeks. And then today we talked about EV 101, electric vehicles. The state has now finished up the first 70 sites at all the loves, and that from here to tip of the up north, up in the Upper Peninsula. So at this point it becomes phase 3, which opens it up to everybody. And they would like us to, or anybody knows of anybody, they want to make sure we have hotels are covering EV sites. And these things are really hotels, restaurants, Walmart and Sam's Clubs are going to start really, they're looking at 1 megawatt for Sam's Clubs and Walmart's in their gas station areas. But all the other ones, about 11K to 14K sites. That gets you four units. But and they want all gas stations to try to, they're looking, they got DTE has a person that will go out and contact them for us if you got anybody who wants to do it. And so does Consumers Power. And then they're looking at parks. Any place a car can park for 30 minutes, they'd like to get a charging station. But the cost of it is they got some grant programs available. They've already done $100 million worth of from the 70 sites plus multi-residential sites. And that's all used up. They think they're going to come back with some more money for that, but they're not sure. But right now there's 104,000 registered electric cars in Michigan. By 31, they think it's going to be close to 400,000. And if they allow the Canadian electric car to come, or not the Canadian, but the Chinese electric car to come in, it'd be like Canada. They're 40% of their sales right now are in electric vehicles across the bridge. So those guys coming across the bridge are looking for places to charge. Is what they're looking at. Detroit area is really going at it and all that. So got all these hotels and motels. They should all have.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Don, do they give you any data on what the power requirements are gonna be based on population, geography? As they look to try to get people to put these units in, what the anticipated power.
About as bad as their data said, what you say, man?
That's something that.
Well, that's what I'm sitting here thinking.
Yeah.
Data on as you're considering what the township.
Oh, that's exactly what we said. Because right now, there is no building code requiring new construction to have a charger. But it's coming, the state's looking at it, the feds are looking at it.
So you're gonna have two sources competing for your power.
Right.
It's something township should be aware of.
That's why these data centers like to put in their own generator. Systems, mini fusion. But you're right, Bob. Everybody's competing for that almighty.
Wow. You all set?
Yeah. Yep.
Anyone else?
We're having, Rec Board is having the fishing clinic, free fishing day at 40th Street on the 13th, I believe it is in June, second Saturday in June. We're gonna have casting contest, species information, prizes for the largest fish. Of course, our bait will be there for you to use the bait. Will be provided. We'll also be giving away hot dogs, drinks, and snacks. That is from 10 till 2 at 40th Street. Okay.
I got something for the museum.
Okay.
We're having our open house on June the 13th, same day as the fishing clinic, 12 to 4, right? 12 to 4. 12 to 4. I didn't have my
With the fire department.
the fire department's going to be there. It's going to be nice. We're going to have tractors from the Good Old Museum. We're going to have food trucks there. We have a DJ and games for the kids. They can check out the caboose. They can check out the museum. They can ring the school bell. So that's going on the 13th. And then on October the 9th, we're having the kids come to the museum just to have a learning day, and hopefully they'll get to hang out at the new pavilion that we're going to have built shortly. Right, Bob?
Hopefully it's on his list of to-dos.
And then on the 16th of October, we're going to have a senior day where we're going to have coffee and donuts and have them come hang out at the museum with us. And for both of those activities, Carol had gotten a grant, transportation grant. So the kids will be picked up from Michigami. There'll be 3 groups of 5th graders. They'll be shuttled back and forth to the museum on the 9th. And looking to do the same for the seniors. We can get a couple of meeting places and get the trolley and have pick them up and bring them to the museum. So it should be a lot of fun. And the farmers market starts June 11th.
Yep, we gotta get some details worked out with their returning from the building over there.
That's going to be wonderful.
Yep.
That's it.
Thank you. I've got a few. Last year, the residents got a break on their water bill due to a error in the billing. Everyone for the commodity usage got the senior rate. So we discovered this preparing for the audit, and then we talked to the told the auditors about it, and then she seemed all worked up about, well, what are you going to do to compensate for lost revenue? And I said, well, we've got a decent fund balance. We'll be all right. We'll just keep sticking to what we've been doing, small increases because our neighbors increase our bills. And we'll do fine. Also, gonna, with that water billing issue, we're gonna make our policy even deeper as far as double checking the numbers that get put into it every year. We'll have 2 people check it instead of 1, and we may check it more often, so. But, like I say, everybody got it last year, so it was fair across the board. Another thing I've been thinking about, especially with all this, with the federal money that we've been getting lately, in the accounting that goes with that, and all the other stuff that the state puts on, you know, I wish they would be more concerned about their dollars. But we may hire an accountant, might look at hiring an accountant for working here within the township here. So nothing's been advertised or anything, it's just something that we've been thinking about. And I attended a meeting for the pre-construction for the Bridge Plaza. Not that it affects too much in the township here, but the second phase starts now. And that phase will last, they say, 6 years. And that's not even the last phase. So, other than that, that's where I'm at. Anybody got any questions? All right. That's all I got. So I guess we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Is there any way that you could turn off that looking up the water bills so not everybody can look into seeing who's paying what on their water rate that I understand is public?
Mm-hmm. As far as turning it off, it kind of creates its own problems when you, because the title companies use it when they're selling and doing houses.
And make them pay for it, look it up.
There is no cost.
And you're missing the whole point that apparently people could come in and look up and see how much water usage, and if you're going to south for the summer and your water bill's low, and hey, let's go break in.
But you're not billed until after you used it. I'm just saying.
It's a safety risk.
Sorry, Bob, but the problem is, and I'll use an example on my road. We have 2 families that are gone most of the week, and they're there on the weekends. People are coming up and down our road that we do not know. My neighbor across the street actually texted me yesterday when I wasn't home that there was somebody up and down our road. Do you know who it is? Well, I wasn't home. With the trash, people drive up and down our road. They know when the trash day is. In the winter, they can see when there's no car activity in the snow. They can see when the trash bins don't go up. Some of the neighbors have been taking other people's trash bins in. So they learn the activity. And if they look online, they can see who's using water, who's not. They can confirm everything. I was broken into 3 weeks ago. On my small road, I was broken into. It's a safety issue. It's truly a safety issue. The one house on our street that I've been talking about that's been used for a storage facility, I looked. They've had no water usage in 2 years. 2 years. So that's another concern. I can tell who's not paid their bills, who's delinquent. That's an invasion of privacy. Also, if people get their houses broken into, they can get more information. That's identity theft. So I agree with Cheryl. It should be toggled off that nobody can see each other's water bills, and let the title companies pay for the information. Let them FOIA stuff.
Yeah.
No, I can remember when you
They
could.
get a lot of money to take and research stuff.
It's a timing thing for them as far as they can FOIA it, and by the time they get it, and now it's not, the rate can change from one day to the next.
It's not hard to pull up a water bill. I'm sorry, but it's not hard to pull up a water bill and send it electronically. It'll take 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So if they can be charged $10, we will send it to you. Hire somebody to do the FOIAs. Have the accountant or have the water bill people that do the water bills. Let them do that. Make $10. If the title company's doing that many, that'll pay that person's salary for the day. It's just an issue.
And we'll discuss it.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Make that motion.
Motion by Falk, is there support?
I'm here.